2 of the World Championship for professional drone racing teams in 2024. We are the Drone Champions League. I'm Matt Andrews. Welcome to our next race day featuring our 7 incredible teams. It's the DCL wildcard team's turn to have a rest week. So how do the other teams match up? Well, we'll start off with Quad Force 1 from America with AK Drones, Hyper, QT FPV and Leviathan. So far, their first 2 race days of Split 2 have not gone to plan. They're up against the champions of Split 1 earlier this year, Cyclone Racing, J-Box, the Ice Cheetah, Neon and Yayu. Then we'll have Raiden Racing, the former world champions. They're bringing in Visem Mayan, Valprim, Batu and Yuki, an unchanged lineup from last week. They're taking on, very close rivals. It's SDT, the Spain drone team. They have their young 8-year-old Red Sheep, along with Silvio FPV, Danube and Clone Number 1. Then the China Dragons are bringing in an unchained lineup too. That's Hosu, Gabri Prince, Zapita, who's just 11, and Ion FPV. And their season has been a struggle, so they'll love to pick up a whole load of points. And Mach 1 need to get their Split 2 underway too. La Beba, Steph, Zoe, and Hologram want to grab every point they can. Here's why. The colours show you which teams are racing each other this week. Mach 1 and China Dragons, they both need to get into this season. Every matchup has 3 races in it, 2 pilots versus 2 from the other team, then the other 2 on each team will race each other, then all 8 race in the DCL Big Heat. And in every one of those races you get 4 points for winning, then it's 3, then it's 2. And 1 point if you come in 4th place, even in the big heat, which means everyone from 5th to 8th in that race doesn't score. After the 3 races are done, the total score means the winning team gets 3 points for the season. There's 1 point if you've drawn. Our track is brand new. It's around Reuter in Austria, this incredible castle where the DCL began in 2016. After going through the gate of the fortress and a couple of turns, we go through the block trade gate to the tower, under the hurdle and down through the ring, round that one, and then another 180 degree back the other way before the A2RL tunnel. Then there's a couple more slalom turns here before you go into these frames, up and out of the top, back over and in through the side, round these poles, and then through that DCL closed air gate before we go outside and under a hurdle. That could trip a few people up. 3 DCL gates, then we go round again. Race day 3, time to get it in the air. Quad Force 1 and Cyclone Racing will kick it off. AK Drones and QT FPV in the first race. Yayu and the Ice Cheetah are their opposition from Cyclone. Yayu will lead them for the first time into the fortress via the gate, and I believe AK Drones may have gone through the wrong archway into the fortress, and yes, there he is, a long way behind in 4th already. He's gone through the tiniest of entrances, if I'm right. Either way, he's a bit further out of the picture, as you can see. Meanwhile, Yayu and everybody are outside the castle under that hurdle. Now the 3 gates that follow it before that sharp right turn to start lap number 2. And Yayu still in the lead. This is the view from the Ice Cheetah, his teammates. Everyone's starting to get spread out quite far already in this matchup. There's Yayu leading them into the ring. He'll now see AK Drones in the same position he was a lap ago, but he may not realise how close the Ice Cheetah and QT FPV are to him. To be honest, that gap, if anything, it might be getting a little bit bigger, despite the Ice Cheetah throwing his drone brilliantly through all of the slalom and now around the wall. It's lap 3. Yayu through the gate. QT's a bit further behind the Ice Cheetah. It's looking like an early 1-2 for Cyclone Racing. Not what Quad Force 1 needs. You've got to start scoring more points and get yourself up this leaderboard. They're in a dangerous spot of being left behind before we get to the Split 2 finals. Back in 2023, when Cyclone first joined the DCL, you would expect this to be a closer contest, but Yayu's got the win. There's the Ice Cheetah. Where's the next pilot for Quad Force 1? There he is. That's QT FPV. He comes in 3rd, 5 and a bit seconds behind Yayu, and AK Drones over 10 seconds behind him. Well, that's a rough start for the Americans. A great start again for Yayu and Cyclone Racing. Yayu has this track dialed in. It was close at the beginning, but it just got stretched further and further apart. This is the Ice Cheetah. We'll see his route through the frames, and then he was terrific here. That's nice and smooth, and more importantly, nice and quick. Race 2 has Leviathan and Hyper trying to stay ahead this time of J-Box and Neon. Not an easy thing to do. Hyper and Leviathan are capable of giving Neon and J-Box a really good battle. Take a look at it already. This is Neon's view of all of them in front of him, but by a tiny margin. This could be a much closer contest. This is what we want. Everybody into the A2RL tunnel. Hyper and Leviathan just ahead. Oh no, let's take that back. Hyper and Leviathan with Neon and J-Box between them now. They both just got past Leviathan and are now trying to challenge Hyper for the lead as we come around the walls and start lap number 2. We enter back into the fortress, on board with Neon, chasing down Hyper. Leviathan is dropped way behind. Hyper's through the ring and into the pylon. Oh, and he's gone back to complete it, but yep, that's the 2 purple drones from Cyclone in 1 and 2, as they were in the earlier race. This is Neon's view as he manages to squeeze past his teammate J-Box into the lead under the hurdle. You can see Leviathan is still crossing the courtyard. He's a long, long way behind. Oh, it's all come undone for Quad Force 1. Now, Neon and J-Box fly some parts of this track differently. Neon goes flatter through the ring than J-Box does, who goes much higher. Yes, he does that to carry more speed downwards. It's got him a little bit closer to Neon, as you can see, and he's attacking these turns really well. He's right with Neon through the frames, but this is when Neon got away from him on the previous lap. It's much tighter between the 1 and 2, but the finish gate is looming. J-Box tries to go under. Ooh, he was pushing right to the end. Or 1/10 between them at the finish. Hyper closer than maybe it appeared they were going to be, and Leviathan absolutely nowhere near. Neon almost lost that win to J-Box at the end. Either way, it's Cyclones. Early on, Neon was actually down in 4th place when everybody was really close. And here's where Hyper hits the pylon. He took that dive even higher than J-Box does. Means he's got a little bit less visibility of the turn to make afterwards, and he was just trying to cut that pylon as tight as he could. Instead, hit it, ends up in 3rd. Big heat time! Here we go, all 8 pilots all racing at the same time. Seems like Cyclone have got to grips with this track better than Quad Force 1 have. It just seems to flow for them a lot nicer. We're on board with QT, who sees everybody just slightly stretch away from him already. Around that pylon and the 180-degree turn and into the tunnel. Everybody in there. This is great stuff. All 8 drones in close contention. Yayu leading them. Hyper right behind him. Neon squeezing through them both. Yayu with the better of the turns there under the hurdle. Means he's the first one onto lap number 2, but by a fraction. And now through the split test, you'll see where everyone else is. Yes, a big load of them coming through the courtyard in the opposite direction. He heads up to the tower. Good turn over the top and through the ring. Oh, and there's that pylon which you need visibility for. He had some, made it around it, but Hyper is still in 2nd. The Ice Cheetah's up into 3rd. Then it's J-Box with Neon for close company. They're both ahead at AK drones. Leviathan turned far too sharply out of the tunnel and hit the cliff face next to it. Looks like there's not much chance of Quad Force 1 getting into those top scoring positions. They need at least 1st, 2nd and 3rd to tie it. Instead, Yayu's 1st. It is, though, Hyper still in 2nd. The rest of the points all going Cyclone's way, it seems, but Hyper will try and lead the team. Would like to get at least a race win for Quad Force 1, but Yayu has got this so smooth, you're just not catching him. Nobody is. Yayu into the finish gate, and Hyper! A good battle and hanging on to 2nd, just ahead of Neon. There's less than 4 seconds separating everyone from 2nd down to 6th. But ahead of them all by a decent margin of 1.3 seconds, Yayu getting another 4 points and another win in his tally for 2024. What an amazing pickup for the team he has been since he joined them at the end of last year. Oh, a lot of good battles in this. QTFPV seeing everybody just stretch a little bit further away from him from the beginning. All hail King Yayu, who truly owned this fortress. Cyclone will get another big win in their split 2 for this year. With that, Quad Force 1, of course, take another bit of a beating. This is not doing them any good. 21 points to 9. 7-3 in every single race. Now this could be a very tight battle. Raiden Racing against Spain Drone Team. Visem Mayan and Batu against the Noob and Clone number 1. Now Raiden was 3rd at the end of the split 1 finals. SDT was 2nd. Cyclone, as you already know, were the winners of that. Let's go on board with Batu, the new pilot for Raiden Racing, who's got Visem Mayan just alongside him, just in front of him into the tunnel. Batu, the new one for Split 2. Vicen Mayan has been winning races for Raiden many, many years. Danube has been with SDT since the beginning when they joined us a long time ago, first as a wildcard team. He was captain of them then. Now they're a full-time professional team, and second at the end of Split 1 was the best position they've ever had. Can they win Split 2? Wow, Vicen Mayan had the lead and they were all chasing him, but Danube's in front of him now after Vicen bounced off the ground. Still back in contention though, and now through the frames, and clone number 1 just hits the first of the slalom poles. The mistakes are starting to creep in. We're on board with Vicen Mayan, who is still hanging on to the lead, but with Danube right with him. This one's difficult to call at this stage. One more lap to go. Vicen Mayan, Danube to the tower. Very high again. Mayan just a little bit higher. Now to the tunnel. He saw Danube in front of him at this stage 1 lap ago. Now he just sees Danube swing across him there. Through the frames, back inside, around the poles. All good. But the top of the next gate is the one that claims him and gives Danube the chance to get past and take the win.
Nice one.
Clone number 1 is so pleased with his teammate, taking that win, the 4 points that comes with it, stealing it from Vicen Mayan, who he was battling with but never quite in front of for long up until that point. A win's a win! 4 points for the Spain drone team. Vicen, he's going to be so cross with himself for hitting that last moment. There's Danube's view of Vicen hitting the ground and still recovering so quickly, and his other crash, the bump that he had, also a very quick recovery. It's just coming up. This part I think is trickier, but there it goes. And with that, Danube is in front and there's no more race left. The next one's Yuki and Valprim against Silvio and Red Sheep. And Raiden coming to this 4 points to 6 down behind the Spain drone team. Let's go on board with Red Sheep. He is the 8-year-old superstar racing for SDT, only joined them very recently, and he's ahead of everybody through the tower around the pylons 1 and 2. Can't see anyone on the way back, so he knows they're all pretty close to him. As you can see, they are. Silvio, Yuki, Valprim, who's going a little bit higher out of the pylons and down. Hit the top of the gate and has crashed. Valprim down for Raiden. This is Yuki, who sees Red Sheep just so close to him, still in the lead as we go on to lap number 2. Really hard to cut between Red Sheep and Yuki, but there you go. Red Sheep starts to put a little bit of space between them. Nice. That dive through the tower is good for both of them. A little bit different routes. Both of them making it work by their preferred flying styles. Yuki still sees a bit of Red Sheep, but now he can't. Yes, I think he's got just a little bit past him in 1 or 2 of those tighter turns. We'll go on to the final lap here with Yuki just a little bit ahead of Red Sheep. Red Sheep putting up a great move there to try and stay with him. He's going to do something a bit more aggressive, I think, to try and cut the lines. Too far to the right. Oh, no. Into the block tray gate. Oh, no. Into the... everything. Red Sheep, my heart. On his way for a win for SDT. And he's at the back. Yuki's past him. Valprim has recovered as he always does. There's Silvio. There's Red Sheep. Not far behind at the end, to his credit. My gosh. He got back onto it as soon as he could. Without those bumps, he would absolutely have won that race based on those times. But let's not forget that Yuki was in close contention and battling all the way through. Just 2.7 seconds between all 4 pilots at the end. Here's Red Sheep's run of crashes, if you can bear to watch. Off the gate, off the side of the tower, off the ring, and bounced on the ground, and yet found the line, got back onto it. Credit to him there. That would have really broken some pilots' confidence and rhythm. Instead, like I say, just 2.7 seconds at the back. And in fact, with confidence like that and recovering like that, I think he's ready to go in the big heat along with everyone else. I could see Red Sheep thinking, right, you won't stop me this time, and he just briefly is in the lead, yes. The first one towards the tower, although Valprim from Raiden is alongside him and outside him and trying to cut across him and just gets into the tunnel. It looked a little risky from Valprim, but he's throwing himself at this, and he's just ahead of Red Sheep as they're going to come around and complete lap number 1. Now, we've got to point out, Valprim, he's only 15. That's quite a lot, I suppose, compared to Red Sheep. A great racing career and prospects ahead of him. For now, he's ahead of everybody. Out of the tower and into the same pylon Hyper did. So now 5 pilots have passed Valprim. Yuki, his teammate, is one of them, but everybody else is SDT. Silvio going direct. Just a little bit too far like we saw earlier. Valprim is going to have to win this race, or SDT are going to outscore Raiden if it carries on like this. We've got all 5 pilots going through the split S at the same time. It's Valprim versus all of Spain Drone Team. Through the tower, down to that, he's okay. Valprim now, here's his view. He's got to win. Red Sheep flashes across him. He carries on through the frames. Now he tightly turns between the pilots. Silvio nearly has him at that gate. He's got to keep it together. The young pilot from Raiden is going to do it for his team, or is he? There goes all of SDT in there as well, but who won it? It's Valprim for Raiden Racing by the incredibly tiny margin of 24 thousandths of a second. Commiserations to Silvio, who all but had him. There were less than 7/10 of a second between the top 3. What an incredible big heat that was. A lap earlier, Valprim was here all on his own with some space, but at the finish, Silvio surely thought he'd got him. Instead, that win and the efforts of all of his team mean that Raiden get a 16 points to 14 tiny narrow win over STT. Our third matchup is China Dragons, who are on the bottom of the leaderboard, against Mach 1, who are in 5th place. Ion and Hosu against Labeba and Hologram to kick this one off. And China Dragons have been out of form so far in Split 2, so this is a good chance for Mach 1 to get some all-important points, as they have struggled for those in previous seasons. We're on board with Hosu. He's racing for China Dragons, currently in 2nd. Ion, his more experienced teammate, is in front of him. Ion's our first ever pilot based in India, racing out of Bangalore, and Hosu joins us from Pamplona in Spain. Here's his view as he completes the first lap. Behind them, 2 pilots from Mach 1, Labeba in 3rd, Hologram a little bit further behind in 4th. They're coming into the courtyard. Into the tower goes Ion, one of those high routes we've seen a few people do. Labeba had a bit of a bump earlier on the first lap, and that's cost her a little bit of time, which means this part of the track actually is all China Dragons. This is Hosu, and as they go out of this section, in come Mach 1, so they're not too far behind. But a few obstacles between them and the chase that they need to be involved in. Ion is back into the fortress at the start of lap number 3 around the turn. And there you go, you see Labeba coming into the courtyard just as Ion is climbing up and exiting it through the tower. So Mach 1 could get a bit closer to Hosu. He might be there for the taking if he has a bit of a crash. This is his view though, he seems to be flying very nicely. Ion's got a bit further away from him out in front. That doesn't matter to Hosu as long as he can hang on to 2nd. Ion's going to get the win. It is Hosu who will take the 2nd place. Then Labeba brings herself around to take 3rd, and Hologram is just a little bit further behind in 4th for Mach 1. So that race got a little bit spread out at the end. China Dragons will just be happy that they've got a 7-3 lead over Mach 1. What they really need to do is continue like this and finish the series and start getting some points onto the season's leaderboard. Hosu here. Good flying from him in one of only his first few races ever in the DCL, remember? Ion's been with China Dragons for a little while, had some problems on race day 2, but this is good clean racing from him. Zapita and Gabri will now fly in orange against Steph and Zoe for Mach 1. Right, we're underway. Zapita and Gabri Prince ahead of Zoe and Steph. Now, Mach 1 really don't want to let this race get away from them like they did the first one. Towers completed, we're now heading towards the tunnel. Zapita is who we're watching, who's chasing his teammate Gabri, and there you can see Mach 1 not too far behind. This is good. Come on, Steph and Zoe. Steph racing out of Taiwan, Zoe racing out of California. Both of them great real-life pilots, but just lagging a little bit behind here in the game. Lap number 2, we're with Zapita, who's still in 2nd place, behind Gabri. Now we go towards the tower again. Gabri over the top and around the pylon. This is his view, just ahead of Zapita, as he makes his way into the 2nd area. And now towards the frames and the poles, and Gabri just extending a little bit in front of Zapita here. But into the hurdle and down onto the ground. He's into the Austrian dirt on the outside of the fortress, and Zapita is away. Gabri just hitting that hurdle on the outside of the wall. I thought somebody would hit it at some point. Gabri has gone and got it for me. So now Zapita leads him. We're on board with Gabri. As you can see, he is quite close to Zapita. Nevertheless, Gabri now chasing Peter through the poles and goes direct to the gate, makes a tight turn through it, nearly overshots it, gets away, he's off and gone and to the finish gate, and Peter will have to settle for second. Oh, Gabri made that look easy. Nobody's gone quite as direct from the poles and the swinging you have to do between them, and then that right hand turn through the DCL gate. He just went straight at it. It was tight, made it work. So Peter will be wondering how he lost the lead and where did first place and the 4 points with it go. So Peter, the young 11-year-old pilot for China Dragons, raced so well in that, was either in the lead or battling very closely in second. And Gabri had the lead and then a few mistakes, but then just made an amazing move, and there's the first place for you. So big heat time. Now, Mach 1. The win in this matchup against China Dragons is looking unlikely. They'll have to come first, second and third. But I'm desperately willing on our all-women team to come and get right into the mix here with the China Dragons and show us the best that they've got. They could definitely compete with a few of these China Dragons pilots, if not all of them. But at the moment, Gabri, Ion, Zapita, Hosu are 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all orange, they're all China Dragons, and it's Gabri leading Ion now. Zapita in third. Let's go on board with Ion in the chase into lap number 2, through the gate of the fortress, back around the split S, and then they go across the courtyard one way, and there's a lot of drones going overhead. Gabri with another one of those high routes through, and he's turned a little bit too soon and just fell into that pylon. That sent him down into third. He's still ahead of Hosu. He's behind the other two members of China Dragons, so they're still all in the 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at Gabri now going back for it. He's managed to pass Zapita up into second. He's chasing down Ion with a lot of speed. Oh, Gabri's got the fire in the belly here, thinking, no, you're not beating me on this one. I've got this one. And there he goes. One lap later into the tower. He's back in the lead again. That's the one he hit last time. He's round that safely. This is Ion who's chasing him. Zapita is behind them in third. Hosu, to his credit, less experienced than these other pilots, is tracking them, staying with them, flying almost as fast as the more experienced members who are coming in now. Gabri's 1, Ion's 2, and in fact Hosu is past Zapita for third, and Zapita wraps it up there. It is a clean sweep. It will be maximum points, all 10 of them going to the China Dragons in a really one-sided encounter there. Gabri winning it. The fastest of the pilots from Mach 1 was Steph FPV. She was only a small margin behind 4th place and the 1 point that comes with it, but 1 point is simply not enough. There you see China Dragons weaving their way through. Hosu going a little bit low on the frames, but keeping it off the ground and keeping it flying. And as I said, Hosu keeping up with the others. Zapita was in third until the end when Hosu's passed him. China Dragons, congratulations on your matchup. That's exactly what their Split 2 season needed. Maximum points, 24-6. First and second in the single heats, and all of the points from the big heat. So we had some one-sided matchups, and Raiden and STT was almost as close as it could be. That means at the top of our standings after 3 race days, Cyclone and Raiden remain first and second, but there are 10 extra heat points between them. China Dragons jump up from 7th to 4th, and Quad Force 1 are in a little bit of a dangerous position. Race Day 4 will see a rematch of the Split 1 Grand Final when SDT take on Cyclone Racing. Join me, Matt Andrews, and the DCL for that and more. We'll see you in the skies!